Today on Robot Builders Club, I'm talking to Lone Bekkeheien. She's a founder out of Norway who's not building a fancy humanoid or an industrial robotic arm. Instead, she's working on a problem that might be far more important: how humans should be interfacing with robots using natural language. She's trained in cybernetics and robotics, and she realized something very early on, that automation is still locked behind expensive experts, proprietary languages, and steep learning curves. Her belief is simple and powerful. It's time for robots to learn ours. In this conversation, we get into what it really means to build a conversational interface, why collaborative robots aren't really truly collaborative, and how natural language can lower the barrier to automation, especially for high-mix, low-volume manufacturing. We also talk about her unique journey from Norway to San Francisco startup scene, talk about the hype around embodied AI and humanoids, and why software, not hardware, is the biggest bottleneck in robotics today. If you're building robots, deploying them, or thinking about humans and machines, or the factory floor, this episode is for you. My name is Afzal, and this is Robot Builders Club. All right, we are live with Lone. Welcome to the show. Thank you for giving me your time this early in the morning. That too, not feeling the best. You got a cold on, and you're powering through that founder lifestyle, just soldiering on. So I appreciate you making the time. I'll jump straight into it, Lone. Let's go with the origin story behind your company, Marsilia. You're not building a robot. Instead, you're going and teaching humans how to talk to robots. Why is that an important problem that you thought was worth solving?
Yeah, good question. And also, thank you for having me. I have a good cup of coffee here, so I'm good. So it all started. So I studied robotics for 5 years. And one of the reasons why I did that was because for me, just software programming is a bit flat. But when I can type something on my computer and see something move in the real world, it gives me energy.
Yep.
That's cool, right? Be able to control things and make them move. But doing so is difficult, and I feel like it's limited to those who have been studying it for 5 years, and it shouldn't be like that. And especially when it comes to automation in manufacturing, because when you need these expensive experts, it gets very expensive and the bar to automation is quite high, right? And you also need an expert per different robot brand, so you're kind of like locked in, and it doesn't actually make sense in that way. So therefore, I think it's time. We've spent decades trying to learn the robot's language. So I think it's time that they learn ours, actually.
Love it. Love it. So you're taking away jobs, Lone. You're gonna be taking all these experts that have specialized in particular robots, and now they're all gone.
I mean, I think it's all about also, it's very difficult for these people to find people who wants to be an expert in this specific certain brand, and you need to educate them in this brand before you can actually put them in production. So I think it's also about how the world is evolving, that we as humans wants to have more meaningful tasks. And it has always been like that, right? So I guess it's just a new abstraction layer to give us the possibility to innovate on top of that.
No, of course. And that is much needed. We are talking to our smart devices, we're talking to phone, we're talking to our cars. So why not to our robots? So that makes total sense. What do you think currently the founders that are launching robots, what do they misunderstand about interfacing with robots?
Good question. I have two ways that I would like to answer that. Number one is that, we have this wave of collaborative robots that came like after the industrial ones. So with these ones, the collaborative robot arms, they don't need to be in a cage anymore. And the whole idea was that they were going to be collaborative with humans, right? But still you need to go through programming to be able to tell them what to do. So they are not actually fully collaborative yet. So that's also what I want to target, that we're calling them collaborative, but they are not. So what we're building is we want to make it possible to tell these robots what to do the same way you tell an employee how to do when you're collaborating. But this other part is that I think also when people hear conversational interface, some might be thinking, okay, so it's just an LLM going crazy in the background, hallucinating, messing up my whole production. But it's not really like that. It's more, it's in production sites, right? Determinism is super important, and LLMs isn't deterministic. So you need to have them set up correctly with the guardrails and have a good intent-based programming architecture for it to make sense. So it's not like there is just an LLM in the background hallucinating in your production sites.
Got it. So I know nothing about this, and a lot of the folks may not have the background may not understand how it actually works in practice. How are you giving commands? Like, is there a hot word you use and that activates the interface, and then you talk to it? How does it know which part of the speech to listen to and where to stop?
What do you mean by that? Which part of the speech to listen
Like, if the context of what is the command for the robot and which is speech not meant for the robot.
Yeah. So here we're talking about having the robot in production sites. What we have is different solutions, but if you're gonna be have a lot of people talking around your robot, you would want to have this button where you could like start talking so that it doesn't take in all kinds of conversation. And we also have the possibility that you can just write to it so that it doesn't if there is too much noise in the production site.
Understood. Yeah, that makes sense. It wouldn't be an open-ended conversation with the robot. It would be within that particular session, initiated with a button or a command. Okay.
Good question.
I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but let's bring the conversation back to you. So you're coming from Norway, and a lot of my listeners, one or two that my parents that are listening, and hopefully there'll be others that dial in. But the listeners that we have may not realize that Norway is a leader in specialized robotics, right? In the maritime space, oil and gas sector, where Norway has been strong. And there's a flourishing robotics community in Europe that has taken place. There's so much growth happening, so many companies launching in different verticals. Why was it so important for you to come to San Francisco?
Yeah, good question. And also thank you for the shout out to my home country. No, so I when I started starting this with this idea and looking into it, I was going to. I also come from the oil capital in Norway. My father, he has been working in the oil since it started in Norway. Or yeah, he has actually, because we found the oil in 1969. So he's one of the OGs in the oil there, and he was working in Houston. So I've been there quite a lot when I was younger, also.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I work in oil and gas sector too. That's a conversation for another time, but yeah.
Really? Yeah, no, so I had been looking into this. I had been making a short little proof of concept and going to different industries, testing it out, seeing what they thought about it in Norway. But what I kept hearing from different people, I was invited to the Sorbonne University in Paris and Imperial College in London. So I was a bit all over the place in kind of like my validation phase. Right. But what people kept telling me was that I should go to San Francisco. And so what I did, I took a plane. I didn't have a plan, so I went to first Boston to just check out what's happening there, and then I went to San Francisco. And I had never been to these places before. And when I just got here, I very quickly realized what people meant about the networking effect. Things just started to happen. And I think it's something about the concentration you have here of people who are doing the same thing, who are hungry and eager to build. The general population sees technology all the time. Like, you have Waymos driving in the streets. So if you pitch an idea to just a normal person here, like a person not in the tech industry, they're just like, oh, cool. But in Norway, they might have been like, oh, that could never happen, right? So I think it's something about the magic you have here for startups. Things are moving so fast. And when I got here, I got into the Founders Inc., which is, they had like a 5 weeks robotics program where they took 50 robot startups from all over the world, put them together, and just wanted to see what magic could happen from there. And that was, it was 5 weeks, but it felt like 5 months because I learned so much. I got so much done. And there is something about this closeness to prominent people, and everyone is just very good at sending you to other people, helping you out. I guess that you and also the people listening knows all
That's how
about
we
it.
got connected.
Yeah. But for me, it's a bit different than it is in Norway.
Got it. So it's the cultural, that idea of having the community here for founders, from accelerators, from funding, all of that brought you the right place. No, love it, and I'm glad you came, because we're able to connect and get this done.
Yeah.
So let's go into a little bit about your thesis on you got your master's in cybernetics and robotics. Your deep knowledge is in training and deploying robots for the real world. It's using generative adversarial networks, or GANs. Unpack that piece for me. Unpack the training of the robot. What is GANs, and why is it important? What have you learned? How have you deployed it in your startup?
Yeah. So I studied cybernetics and robotics for 5 years, and then I spent the last year writing my master, and that was on closing the reality gap between simulated and actual environments, which is still an issue that I know NVIDIA is working a lot on, to mention one company who's targeting that. But in this case, I was using Ian Goodfellow's technology or invention from 2014. So he is he's from Quebec in Canada, and he made this generative adversarial networks where you have a generator and discriminator, so two neural networks pitted against each other in kind of like a min-max game. The generator is generating images, and it wants to make it look like it is an image that comes from the distribution of data that is from the actual world, but it's a totally new image. So this is the same technology you use to generate images of people that looks like a person, but it's not a real person. And then you have the discriminator who is trying to call out the generator that this is a real or a fake image. So both of them don't want to lose. So the generator wants to create a good image, and the discriminator wants to call it out on a fake one. So I was trying to use this with a maritime simulator for an autonomous vessel to see if I could make it more photorealistic using drone footage of it. And I got quite good results. But now, so this was something that came out in 2014. Before this, we weren't really able to generate images that was this good. We could generate images, but they were very pixelar. Could you say that? Like
Pixelated, yeah.
Yeah. But today in 2026, it might be a bit outdated with the guns. But of course, the sim to real gap is still one of the main issues with robotics. So we still need to close that. So it's a very interesting field, and of course, it's something that is very important to take into account when you're working with everything that is autonomous, for instance, robotics. Because worst case, if you train an algorithm in a similar environment and you put it into the operational one, and it does mistakes, then it could worst case be fatal, right? So
got it. Okay, so let's go back to the working with the robots, using the interfaces. There's multiple ways of how the human robot interface could work, right? One of the folks that I'm speaking to in a couple of weeks, he's a CEO of Hello Robot. It's a design agency that builds interfaces for a robotics company. I think he's targeting the construction robot companies, and also fleet management is one space that he's going into. But his whole thesis is that his software is working with the existing way how operators are interfacing, using a GUI interface on the screens. Is your intent with your company that it will be predominantly speech-based interface? Is that where you see the future?
I mean, I think so. Most of the at this case, we are targeting already. I guess this Hello Robot, he makes his own robots, the hardware as well, right?
No, it's they just do interfaces. So
Okay.
he's creating interfaces for other robotic companies, intuitive interfaces.
Okay, cool. No, I think the most important part is that our main goal is to make it simple, right? So we believe in working with the customer and not just creating something in the lab and then coming to the
Yeah.
customer and it's like, how? But one thing that we humans definitely do know how to do without being taught how it works is to talk and to show, to demonstrate. So that's why we're kind of like building around that part, because how would you tell an employee how to do a task, right? If you're hiring a
Mm,
person in your manufacturing line worker, then you will probably spend, yeah, say 3 months to learn them how to
right.
do their job, right? You do like this. So we're kind of like building around that. But I definitely think that it's important for most of the collaborative robots have teach pendants that you normally have with the robot. So it's not like that will go away right away. So having the possibility to go into there, I think that will be necessary in the beginning, and also having very good user experience designers with us to target exactly how people work.
Got it. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Talk to me a little bit about customers that you've have been in conversations with. Why does natural language feel easy when you're doing demos, and what challenges take place when you're actually deploying this?
Yeah, of course. So with everything, integration is a hassle, right? So you kind of want to avoid that for most tasks. So that's one of the things that I think customers are a bit afraid of in the beginning. Are you going to integrate to my old robot standing in the manufacturing site? That will take forever. Very skeptical in the beginning, but when we are able to show them that our integration takes a few minutes, it's super fast, then they are very excited. So that's one of the things. And then also being able for them to play around with it, to be able to actually talk to their robots. And I guess getting the same feeling I get from studying robotics, being able to just control it, tell it what to do
Yeah.
right on your computer and it moves. I think that's something that gives them a lot of energy, and
Yeah.
also seeing the flexibility it gives them without having to be dependent on expensive system integrators that are charged hourly from door to door, which makes it almost impossible to automate for a high mix, low volume production for small companies that doesn't have dedicated automation engineers at their sites.
Gotcha. And yeah, that makes sense. You're deploying embodied AI, physical AI, which is the buzzword these days, right? And you want to be able to utilize the intelligence that's available in large language models that is available to us, and combine that with extending that to a robot potentially. And if it can be integrated, that's a value driver. You can quickly deploy if you can limit the training time. If the interface is intuitive, you can scale across different sites for a customer, and you can reduce the training time. So there's definitely that huge value for it. What is hype and what is real right now from your conversations, from your understanding as it relates to physical AI, what embodied AI, all these terms are being thrown around. What is real and what is just pure hype?
Yeah. So I think um, Yeah, I think if we're going to be honest about it, so using, for instance, the vision language action models, they are working, but they are probably working like 95%, right? So it's still a research topic where everyone is putting money at right now, right? So it's not, we're not there quite yet with it working 100% of the time, but we are getting very close. So I think it's important to find maybe those cases where it's okay that it doesn't work 100% of the time, and then go from there. Because I think that's the case. But what I also do believe is that the hype of humanoids are also there now.
Right.
But I do think that we will get there. Human makes sense because everything around us is built for humans, right? But most of them are still teleoperated today. And I think it will take some time until they are able to work in a production site. So we do have the general purpose hardware of an arm, because you don't need to have a fully human for doing a lot of the tasks in manufacturing, right? So if you have a mounted arm, then you have most of the flexibility that you want, and this hardware is getting cheaper and cheaper now. But what's holding it back is the software, because you still need expensive experts. So it's still too expensive to do it. So if we could enable this general purpose hardware to be flexible, I think that's the way to go before we have fully deployed humanoids, and also specifically the collaborative ones that are able to work together with humans and not caged. And then maybe, I don't know, what do you think? 10 years from now, we might see more humanoids doing actual work.
Yeah, well, in the Bay Area, there's multiple companies that are looking to sell a humanoid to you. 1X is already shipping humanoid, but I think the only thing it does autonomously right now is open a door, which is an expensive. I think they're around $40,000. US dollars. Of buying something for $40,000 that is only opening the door is kind of pricey. But I think that's where the industry is headed. Once we solve the problem of safety, reliably being able to do certain tasks, and those things catch up, then it's going to explode. I don't know what the roadmap would look like, whether it's 5 years or 10 or less, but there's definitely exciting times ahead for not just industrial robotics and collaborative robots, but just from different solutions around humanoid and other applications.
For sure. And big shout out to 1X because they are Norwegian. So there you go.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Are you in touch with them?
Actually, one of the former vice presidents of 1X within their health sector there is one of my advisors.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You're connected with the right people. So that's awesome. So if somebody is launching an industrial robot today, when should they start thinking about this natural language interfacing with building that for their robot? Do they start designing that in day one, or that comes later?
You mean for the manufacturers or the people using that? So I first want to correct the industrial robot part, because we're targeting the collaborative ones, so the ones that are not caged. But I think you should do it right away, because then you have the possibility to make small changes. If you're changing, say for instance, you're manufacturing cups and then you want to manufacture glasses or something that is a bit different, you don't have to change it that much. But it's still super expensive if you need to get system integrators to come to your place and change it. And what I see from a lot of the manufacturers or the people using these robots is that since it's so expensive today to set it up, they get experts to set it up in the first time. And then they're just like, don't touch it because it's working now, right? So when it's like this, then people tend to use it for low mix, high volume production. If you actually feel safe to change it afterwards yourself and it's not so expensive, then it's enabling it for low mix the high mix, low volume production. And that's where it gets interesting, because most of the production, at least in Europe, is high mix, low volume and within smaller.
Got it. And if you wait too late to bring on, to bolt on natural language interfaces, what technical debt are you
Say you're carrying any technical debt. We have customers that are both, call it brownfield, so that have robots already up and running. That's the most common ones we have now. But we also have partnership with Chameleon Robotics, for instance, which are system integrators deploying robots in Norway and Sweden for now. But there they will ship this software together with the robot out to the customers. So it doesn't really matter if you have it. But of course, it's easier if you have the robots already, because then it's more plug and play.
Got it. Okay. I think we've talked about integration, interfaces, natural language interface quite a bit. Let's shift gears. I want to draw on your experience, your unique experience for collaborative robots. What is the difference that you have seen talking to US companies versus European ones?
That's a good question. I think the general understanding, or the general, I guess the general understanding of how Americans are, and specifically in San Francisco and this area, is that you're very open to new technology. So that is super cool. Yeah, but what I do see is that for this case, I think people are lacking the flexibility to the robots. So I don't see a lot of actual differences between the Norwegian or the European customers there when it comes to this exact solution.
The problem statement is there regardless of the geography. The need for integration, you're saying, that is there in Europe, is there in US. So there's no difference in that side of things. So they're both feeling the same pain point. So a related question: when you came to San Francisco, was there anything that's surprised you about Americans or the people that you interacted with that made you go, huh, that's not what I was expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's generally how you're so good at what should I say? Technology is just super exciting for you, and the networking part of it. You just tell a few sentences about what you're doing, and then everyone is like, you should meet this person and you should go there, and I will set you in contact. I can call him right away, and things are just moving so fast. So I in that way, I definitely do understand why it's easier to make it as a founder in San Francisco and in the States than it might be in Norway. But I think it's also the aspect of money. There is, let's be honest, there is more money circulating and might be easier to get hold of.
Yeah, and some of it also is localized, right? Your experiences looking at the San Francisco, sort of the tech scene. You're working with founders that are also they're excited about this space, and you're entering a space, robotics, where there's a lot of funding currently taking place. A lot of the large funds, they don't want to miss out on the right opportunity, because right now is the main time. So you're in the right space, right time. Speaking of which, if you have other aspiring founders from Europe or even in the United States trying to build a robotic platform for the US market, starting today, right? They have an idea. They want to do, taking your example, maybe do what you're doing. What advice would you give them?
I think I would tell them to, I guess what people told me, go to SF and just test out the networking effect, apply to some good accelerators. I think that was very important for me. Even though I didn't have a plan, day 2, I got accepted to Founders Inc. and that turned out to be my plan. I had to change my tickets, but find an environment where you can be in and learn, because you're going to learn super fast, uh, and also, but I do think that having a foot in Europe is also very exciting these days. There's a lot of
Right.
stuff happening, so being able to go maybe back and forth and bridging that, the speed
Mhm.
and the money and everything you learn in San Francisco together with Europe that is doing very exciting things these days. I think that's something. But there was also someone telling me, and this is maybe a question for you actually, Ali, that American customers are worth a few times more than European customers. What are your thoughts on that?
Meaning the lifetime value of the customer ends up being more?
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe that, or also that they are paying more.
I think it just comes from the scale. I think America overall historically has, being a capitalist society, having gone through industrial revolution after the World War, to capitalize on this scale in everything that America did. Just take you're in California right now. Look at the wine industry.
Mm.
It came out of nowhere. Europe had a strong foothold in all these different varietals. You know, your French, Italian industry was established from the time of Jesus. They've had all of production taking place. America started in Napa, Sonoma. These regions got started, if I remember correctly, I don't want to misstate, 60s or 70s is when it got going. And just the scale of it takes over, and America wants to do things big. So it wants to scale very, very quickly. And I think the culture supports it, that you're starting something. Of course, you want to make it as big as possible. So maybe that is something unique, or was unique. I don't know if it's unique anymore. I think we live in a more globalized, global world where ideas and cultures are intermingling. But historically, that's been a strong point for America. I went off on a rant, but
Yeah, no. It's interesting. I mean, we keep saying that everything is big in America, so.
Mhm. You got to go to Texas. Everything is even bigger
Oh, yeah, true.
over
Maybe
there.
that's what they say. Everything is big in Texas.
Bigger in Texas. Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this: if similar, in the same vein that I asked what advice you would give,
Mm.
maybe stated differently, if knowing what you know now, having gone through your experiences, how would you build Marsilia Robotics differently today? If you were starting from scratch today, you had the idea today,
Mm.
what would you do differently?
A good question. So, I guess if you ask me in a year or two down the road, maybe I could answer that a bit better. Right now, I don't see any. Right now, we think that we have done the correct choices on it. But one thing that I learned when I got here that I was just thinking about was regarding Twitter or X. I don't know. Do you still call it Twitter here, or do you say X?
I don't know. I've never been on either platform when it was Twitter. But I think people are still talking about tweeting, and nobody's saying, check out my X, you know?
Yeah, sounds a bit confusing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
True. No, but one thing that I learned when I got here was I had never been using, I'm going to say Twitter because then we don't have the confusion there. But I'd never been using Twitter before, but people told me download it. And I did.
Hmm.
And then they said, especially as a founder within tech, that you should just do a post every day. And the thing about, so you have LinkedIn, that's where you're kind of like posting your accomplishments. But on
Yeah,
Twitter, that's where you just post what you're doing and
your day to
showing,
day.
yeah, how you built it from
Yeah,
scratch. So I haven't been
interesting.
able to do it daily, but I'm trying at least. And it's something about expanding your surface of luck, as they call it, because
Mm.
what I see now is happening is that people are starting it's kind of like making a brand, and then all of a sudden you get investors' attention because they see, oh, this person is actually doing this continuously, and
Right.
all of a sudden you're into these groups, and I would definitely recommend posting
Interesting.
daily on Twitter.
Yeah, that's a interesting advice, because I'm kicking off Robot Builders Club right now. You're my second conversation. And I have a few lined up, and that's what I've heard, that you got to engage. I'm not on any social media outside of Reddit and LinkedIn. Maybe I'm just not the targeted audience. I've gotten too old in my ways. Yeah. I got to think about what it makes sense for me to start putting my message and engaging with potential founders. For me, I think I'm looking at it as building one conversation at a time. So, like I spoke to Shamoon
Yeah.
in my first episode, and he had a good time. I had a good time. I said, I want to talk to other people that are like you and are doing amazing things. And he's like, oh, you got to talk to these people. So maybe I'll just do that. That is more meaningful for me, being able to use my natural language
Yeah.
and connect with people, right?
Yeah. Speaking of, I maybe I can take a picture of the screen, the recording screen, and that can be my today's Twitter post.
Sure.
There we
Let
go.
me smile. All right. No, this has been great. I'm so happy and glad we got to do this. Let's do what I started with Shamoon, which is let's do a lightning round. I'm gonna throw to finish off the podcast. I'm gonna throw a whole bunch of questions really, really fast at you, and you answer the first thing that comes to your mind. Ready?
I think so.
Okay. All right, let's do it. Okay, what's better, early morning or late night?
Early mornings for sure.
Coffee or beer? And in 2 words, why?
Coffee, of course. It gives me happiness every day.
Love it. Caffeinate. Buttons or voice?
Voice.
Expert first interface or a novice first user interface?
Novice.
What's harder, teaching robots language or teaching humans to be precise?
Can you repeat that?
What's harder, teaching robots language or teaching humans to be precise?
I guess it depends on the task.
It depends on the human. Yeah, good question. How about ship now or wait for reliability?
I guess it also depends on the task, of course, but always, this is something I learned at the Blueprint Founders Inc. You have to ship. You have to see if someone is interested, and yeah, so ship it.
Love it. What's the weirdest command someone has ever tried to give a robot?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess I can speak for how the world is when Marsilia Robotics is everywhere. Then the weirdest command is an expert command.
Love it. Okay. Speaking of which, you time travel to 2050. You come back. What are you going to tell us? Is it a warning? Is it a good message?
I think it will be a good message. I'm a very optimistic person, and I think we will, as humans and as a team, we will figure it out.
Love it. What's special about Norway?
I might be a bit biased here, but what's not special about Norway? Norway is it's beautiful, and we're actually one of the countries in the world that has the most trust among the people.
Which is lacking in America in a lot of areas. What is special about America?
America is huge, though. So maybe if I limit it to the area that I'm familiar
What is
with here
special
in
about San Francisco?
San Francisco, it's an amazing place for starting a company.
What are robots better at than humans?
Robots are better at, so both robots and humans have, for instance, these limits. They have a payload limit. But I think that we are actually better at keeping those limits for robots than for humans. So people that are today lifting heavy boxes, they get broken too, right? So I think there are some lifting heavy boxes on and on every day. It doesn't make sense for a human, right? We shouldn't be broken like that. We should have more meaningful.
Yeah. Let's utilize the right tool. Let's unburden the humans. Let's create a better society. I think that's why you're in it. That's why a lot of us are trying to push robots into the world and create better tools for humanity.
For sure.
Okay. On that note, I appreciate your time, Lone. This has been a pleasure. My dog in the back, I've been ignoring it, but he's got a pillow on his neck. He's got allergies, so he's been disturbing me. But we got through it.
Yeah.
We got it done. Hopefully, he's gonna get over his allergies soon. We're working on it, but I appreciate your time and spending this morning time with me. And let's stay connected.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the chat. It was very nice. It was my first podcast experience. So, yeah, cool.
My second, my second one hosting.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Yes. You too. Bye.
Bye.